All right. Hi, everybody. I'm not sure really how to tell if anybody's on here, so there's a good chance I'm just talking to myself right now, but that's okay. Anyway, I'm Catherine. I'm a live streamer for AP Lang, obviously, so that you're here. I took this class last year, and this is gonna sound like so cheesy or whatever, but honestly, it was one of my all-time favorite classes. Like, it doesn't sound that exciting. Like, pretty much when you put AP in front of everything, it's like, it automatically makes me do this little eye roll. The AP Lang was honestly one of my favorite classes. So I'm so excited to share some little tips and tricks with you guys. So today we're starting off with, honestly, one of the things that helped me most at AP Lang is just essay outlining. And I learned this trick from my AP teacher that's literally saved my butt in like every single essay I wrote, and so I thought I would just share that with you guys. So let me go ahead and get my screen up here. Sorry, one second. Okay, share. There we go. Okay. So, one sec. Okay, so how to outline an essay. And by the way, I forgot to say, if you're not already following Fiverr, these are their social media links. It's just nice to know because they post like when they're doing streams and stuff like that. And I'm personally taking like 5 AP classes this year, so my mind's already like literally everywhere at once. So if I didn't have this, I would never go because I would never remember. So anyway, those are the links. Okay, so the essay outline I want to share with you guys is called a TOBY. So the T stands for thesis, the O stands for outline, and the BI stands for big idea. Now this can work for any essay type, or I guess the 3: rhetorical, argument, and synthesis. So works for all 3 of them, so I'll go ahead and show you how it works. So here's just an example. Let's say I got this essay prompt. It reads, in 1981, Irish author Oscar Wilde observed, disobedience in the eyes of anyone who has read history is man's original virtue. It is through disobedience that progress has been made, through disobedience and through rebellion. Wilde claims that disobedience is a valuable human trait and it promotes social progress. Write an essay that argues your position on the extent to which Wilde claims are valid. Use appropriate examples from your reading, experience, or observation. So this was an actual AP prompt. So let's say I got this in the AP exam, and I have like 45 minutes to write this essay. Some people might say like, oh, just go in as fast as you can, just start writing, like you got to get your pencil going. And that's true, but you need to have direction too. You need to like know where you're going. And I know it sounds kind of counterintuitive, like if you take these 5 minutes to write an essay outline, that's 5 less minutes you have of essay writing. But I can't tell you how many essays I've done where I was like so sure of myself. I was like, I don't need an outline. I already know exactly what I'm doing. I get to the 3rd paragraph and I'm like, crap, I don't have any more evidence for this. So I should have argued the other side. But by now, I've already wasted 30 minutes and I have to finish this essay. So like I don't really have a choice. So I just kind of have to write a weaker essay, which is why I'm showing you guys this. But anyway, so if we go here, so for the T for the thesis, I just write a 1-sentence little thing of where I stand on this topic, right? So for mine, I put, there's a fine line between productive and beneficial disobedience and reckless and destructive disobedience. It can be either a great tool or a destructive weapon. And just a little side note on theses, as you have to have one in every essay type, it's really nice to have a qualified thesis and not just be super black and white about it, kind of like how I did with, like, it can be this and it can be this, like, and kind of show examples of both. I mean, there are definitely certain times when you can just be like super black and white, but anyway, just try to be more qualified. Then for the outline, so that would be the body paragraphs, I just write 3 quick examples of like what are some evidence that I can base my body paragraphs around. So for the first one, I would put like civil disobedience. I could talk about like Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, Gandhi, how their disobedience really was productive and beneficial to society. And then I could go on to talk about how Fahrenheit 451, how they would have, like, the main character would have never learned if he hadn't been disobedient. And then I can also argue the other side and qualify my statement by saying, like, by bringing up the problem with like criminals and rebellious teens and stuff like that. So the argument is more balanced. So, and just another tip on this is an argument essay. You can use this outline for any essay, but just a tip on argument is that when you're thinking of your 3 pieces of evidence, it's really good to get 3 different types. So you don't want to do like name 3 books or name 3 historical examples. So I usually like to go with a historical example, a literary example, because those can be really strong. And then I either like to go like a modern day example or a personal example, which we'll get into more later anyways. But so then for your big idea, which is your conclusion, you just write a sentence about how it correlates with today in like modern society. And so I don't know if any of you are here, like I don't know how to tell, which is kind of awkward for me, but if any of you are here, go ahead and comment like in language arts, how do you learn how to write a conclusion? Like what do they always tell you? Well, you guys, I don't know if anybody's here, so I'm just gonna keep going. But I'm frozen. That's so awkward. Oh, there we go. In my language arts classes, they always told me like in your conclusion, you reset your thesis, reset your main points, and reset your thesis again. Like it's just kind of spitting back out what you already put in your essay. But that's not the case in AP Lang. In AP Lang, what you're going to want to do is somehow tie it into today. So, yeah, see, Mint says, structure your essays, first write a thematic. Yeah, okay, that's a really good comment. Structure your essays, first write a thematic and thesis statement, make it insightful. That's a good advice. But so just try to tie it into modern day, like, so like for example, for this one I put today disobedience goes on for right and wrong reasons. And like for example, Black Lives Matter, but also there's like disobedience to laws or societal standards and morals, and that's like sex trafficking, and that's like the more negative side of it. But just tying it in today and like making the conclusion the big idea of like why does this, I guess what I'm trying to say is in the big idea, you're just saying why does this matter today? Like why are we still talking about it? So you're just putting out how it applies to modern day. So other tips. So a lot of people have asked, like, how long do I take outlining? So my tip is the 5-finger 5-minute rule. That's why I have a cute little hand right there. Anyway, so you're gonna want to get a piece of paper, put your hand right there, and that's how big your TOBY should be. If your TOBY is bigger than that, it probably means you're writing too much, which in turn probably means you're taking too much time on your outlining. So you don't want to spend any more than 5 minutes. And with 5 fingers, it should even be less than 5 minutes, like maybe 3 minutes, because your essay writing time is so valuable in this test because you really are crunched for time. So then my next is, I think I already said this, but just not make your thesis black and white, just more qualified. It kind of shows that you weighed and considered the topic more than just saying like disobedience is bad or disobedience is good. It kind of makes it sound more insightful, which is what Mint said. Okay, and she just asked another, I don't know if it's she or he, and they just asked another question. The length or the width of your hand. So the length, so up and down is what I'm talking about. I guess it can go the width of your hand too, but mainly I'm just talking about like you shouldn't be writing like pages and pages and pages. So the next piece of advice is, yeah, the big idea shows how it applies today. So I already went over that. And then my last piece of advice is, even if TOBYs don't work for you, because they won't work for everybody, like everybody learns differently, everybody prepares differently, everybody studies differently, but even if it doesn't work for you, it's a really good idea to find a way that does work. And if any of you have any other good outlining tips, I'd encourage you to comment them. But it will end up saving you time because it gives you direction, it gives you somewhere to go instead of just writing really fast and then running out of ideas and then wanting to backtrack, but it's like too late because you already are 3 paragraphs in. So there's some of my advice. Okay, and one thing you learned about me is I'm obsessed with The Office, so I had to include a reference in here. But so these are just two. One does not simply begin an AP Lang essay. So that's like kind of what I reiterated. Wow, I can't talk today. Earlier, that you can't just start writing. Like you can't, but you can, but really you can't. Anyway, and then summary is not literary analysis. Fact. So that's just what I was talking about with the conclusion. Like summarizing in the conclusion, like what you already said, that's not literary analysis, and that's not what they're looking for. They're looking for how, like, the big idea, how does this, they're looking for the kind of the meat and potatoes of the whole thing in the conclusion. But next. Okay. So I wanted to show you another, just another quick Toby. So I'm not going to go through and read all this because that's kind of long, but I'll leave it up for a second if you guys want to look through it really fast. It's not imperative that you read it unless you want to create your own Toby, but we'll do that later in this lesson. But anyway, so for this is a rhetorical analysis one. So I would just like look over this. And when I say look over, I don't mean skim, which is another big advice I have for those taking AP Lang. You don't want to skim the prompts because, like, I know I was you last year. I get it. Like, you're like, I got to read this so fast. I got to get through this. Like, I'm crunched for time. I'm frozen. I don't know if you can hear me. Okay, there we go. So yeah, I got to get through this. I'm crunched for time. Like, just skim it really fast, and then you can start your essay. But what happens is when you skim it, you miss things, and then you have to go back and read it again and again and again and again, and it's like taking like 10 times longer. So just what I like to do is I do one really thorough read through. I'd underline. So for this one, I'm looking for rhetorical strategies. So like if I found this, I'd underline this, I'd underline that, I'd underline that. Then when I get to my Toby, which is what I do next, I write, so I'd write the strategies I found. So I found antithesis, which is like two things that are opposite. So in this speech, she goes, I'm happy, I'm less happy. And ethos appeal, illusion, like I just, everything I saw, I'd write it down just to give me direction. And then I'd go ahead and do my Toby. So thesis/introduction. Lucy braces her audience for the criticism they're about to receive by explaining how she wound up doing this and that she is going to be brutally honest and why they should be understanding. And then just like I put in my previous slide, I just put, for my outline, I just put my top three ones I wanted to use for body paragraphs. And okay, and then here's another tip I forgot to mention. So it's helpful to put just 3 bullet points, but maybe put something that, whoa, mistake. Okay, maybe put something that will remind, this is not it. Yeah, it is. No, it's not. Okay, but maybe put like a little quote or something that will remind you of like where you saw it or something. So if we go back, I hate to backtrack, but if you go back to this one, like I didn't need to write civil disobedience. I'll talk about Martin Luther King and his protest. I just wrote MLK, Rosa Parks, Gandhi, because that's going to help me remember what I was thinking when I wrote it. For this one, like, anyway, so that's just another little time-saving trick. I'm going to go forward again if it's going to let me. My computer is definitely frozen, so I apologize. There we go. Okay, I'm back again. Okay, so then for my big idea, it's just how it relates to modern. So I just put, it's very hard to give criticism to peers, i.e. like peer pressure when it comes to vaping or drugs. So just anything you can do to kind of make it how it matters today. So I just gave you an example of how to Toby an argument and rhetorical, and then we're going to do a synthesis, and then I'll have you guys help me with one if anybody is here or still here. And if not, I'll just show you like in real time how I make a Toby. Anyway, so here's like a synthesis prompt saying, television has been influential in the United States presidential election since the 1960s. But just what is this influence and how has it affected who is elected? Has it made elections fair and more accessible, or has it moved candidates from pursuing issues to pursuing image? So I actually thought that was a really insightful little prompt, but let's go to the next slide. So obviously there were synthesis articles that I'm not going to show you because we don't have time to read through all of them because there's a lot. But here's just, I read through them and here's what I came up with. So I put, for my thesis/introduction, so my T of the Toby, I put television can have both positive and negative effects, but for the purpose of presidential election, it helps people to stay more informed about which outweighs some of the damage it can do. So kind of like nuance, like it can do damage, but like it weighs out in the end. Anyway, I think I spelled that wrong, but bear with me. So for my outline, sentences are super easy to outline because you just have to put, instead of you just put the document you got it from. So I just put A, C, D. You could even just do that. So like on sometimes synthesis are typically the last ones I write because they're the ones I feel the least strong in, which is another piece of advice I'll get to in a second. But so if I'm like, I did a few practice tests before I took the real test, and one of the practice tests, it was the last essay, and I was like, oh crap, I have like 20 minutes to write this essay because it was the first time I'd done it timed. So I just literally wrote for my whole outline, I just wrote A, B, C. Like those were the three things I was going to use. I can't remember the letters, maybe it was C, D, A. But anyway, so that's just a little tip. And then for my big idea, I put technology causes a lot of controversy during Trump's election. Will technology continue to change the dynamic of elections in the future? And that's another thing. For your big idea, you can also put like super deep, thought-provoking questions. Anyway, you can just like, you're just looking for like something big and deep and how to really connect it, which is what you're looking for. Okay, so now it's your turn to make a Toby, but if nobody's here, I'll just make it in real time. Cool. Okay, so question 3. So here's another prompt. This is an argument prompt. Okay. If you develop the absolute sense of certainty that powerful beliefs provide, then you can get yourself to accomplish virtually anything, including those things that other people are certain are impossible. And then I think we ought to entertain our opinions with some measure of doubt. I shouldn't wish people dogmatically to believe any philosophy, not even mine. Then in a well-organized essay, take a position on the relationship between certainty and doubt. Support your argument with appropriate evidence and examples. Cool. Okay, so you're gonna want to, let me get out of presenter view. Oh, that's so awkward. Okay. Give me a sec. Okay, so I'm gonna make this in real time with you guys. Okay, so thesis. Does anybody have any good ideas for your thesis? If anybody's here, I'll wait a few seconds. I'll wait a minute because you have to type. But if not, I will just go ahead and think of one. So I'll go back to the prompt so you guys can see it again. But it's pretty much just asking, like, what's the relationship between certainty and doubt? And what the first person's arguing more, like, if you believe in yourself, you can accomplish anything, so you should always be certain. And the other one's saying, like, we shouldn't really believe too much in anything because, like, you don't really ever know it's true. And if you, like, are so sure of yourself, it could backfire. So that's pretty much, and it looks like either nobody's here or nobody wants to, oh, see, great, I love you, you're participating. Okay, no, that's totally good. Believe in your ideas, but be skeptical. I get what you're saying, so it's like, believe in yourself, but at the same time, like, yeah, so believe in yourself, but at the same time, like, know that you're not always going to be right and you have to like problem solve the weird way through. So a good idea would, so let's see what's a good way to phrase that. So believe, so you should put certainty first, but and believe, but also, it's a good way to say that, like, don't be naive, maybe. Don't be naive, and yeah, and be open to new ideas. Great. Be open to new ideas. Definitely spelled believe wrong, which is kind of embarrassing. We'll just say it's a typo. Okay, awesome. So outlining. So what are some, I'll think of some too. So like some historical examples, literary examples where like that have to do with certainty and doubt. So maybe one is, I don't know if you guys have read To Kill a Mockingbird, but in that book, like they're so certain that I don't even remember his name and I felt really bad. But anyway, the guy that's like walked into this house, they're so certain that he's like some freak or some crazy guy that they never, they like kind of are scared of him, and they never really get to know him, which is kind of, they're not open to new ideas. Yeah. Oh, historical literature, and you can either use a personal example or a modern day example. I typically save the modern day examples for the big ideas, but you can also put it in your outlines. Oh yeah, Boo Radley, thank you. That was bugging me so bad. Okay. Anyway, so I could put like, so I would just put to kill mockingbird. I don't know if I spelled it right. And then I'd put just a little thing that would remind me the kids weren't open to new ideas. Okay, so HLP. I wish I knew what that meant, but I don't. Okay, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, okay. Oh yeah, thank you, HLP. I was like, historical literature. Now I get it. I feel really dumb. Okay, it's fine. So historical. So yeah, we could do George Washington leading the Continental Army. Great. Okay. And then personal modern day. You could do like, I don't want to get too personal. Just kidding. That was really weird. I wish I had not said that. Okay. But let's just say, like, I'm just making this up. Let's say once I tried out for student government and I believed in myself and I made it. So I could write student government, which I didn't actually. I didn't make it, guys. It was really sad. Oh, can you use personal examples? Yes. So this is actually interesting. This whole time I was in AP Lang, my AP teacher was like, never use the word I in essay, never use you, never talk in the first person. And that was when we learned rhetorical and synthesis essays. But then we got to argument, and you're allowed to use personal experiences as long, you just have to make sure they're really relevant and kind of just don't go on a rant. A rant, and that is the only time you can use I. So you don't use I through the entire essay. You just use it during that like brief experience or whatever. Yeah. So as she said, like all my teachers are like, don't use I. Yeah, my teachers are like that too. But they said in a personal example, you can use it in that paragraph at the right times, but no else. So you kind of have to be careful about it. But if it's like a really good personal example, then oh, are there other options besides personal and modern? Yeah, there are other options. They're kind of, I don't know, pretty much whatever you can think of that would prove your point. But those are just the ones I typically like go to because they're the easiest to think about for me. But I guess like if you knew like a research study off the top of your head, which I'm not like that, but I know people who are like, yeah, like 3 years ago I read this research study that says 30% of something something. Like if you know that and you know it's true, like go for it. But yeah, you can pretty much just use whatever you think would be most convincing. Anyway, so that would be, and then for the big idea, I'd put something, how it relates to modern day. So I could put, let's see. So let's think about some current issues, like, you could talk about political pundits. I'm gonna Google what pundits mean because I definitely don't know. Pundits. Oh, I spelled it wrong. Pundits. Oh yeah, okay. That's a good idea. That's great. Okay. So we could do, there are many people that rely on the opinion of political pundits. Okay. So see, that only took like, I probably should have timed it, but I guess like 3 minutes. But now you have so much more, like now you can look at this prompt and you know what direction you're going. And the great thing about Toby is, let's say you spend 2 minutes, you decide, oh, I think, like for this one, you're like, oh, I think you should always be certain in yourself. Like always believe in yourself. And then you start writing your Toby and you get to it and you're like, I don't have evidence for this. You can go back because you didn't waste 30 minutes writing 3 paragraphs. You just wasted 2 minutes, which you can catch up easily, and just spend a little less time editing afterwards. So that is good. Anyway, so I still have some time to fill up, I think that was all the TOBYs I had. But so I'm just going to go back and talk about more just like advice for the AP exam. Let me find this slide I wanted to go to. Oh, here it is. Okay, so okay, what about generalizations? For example, people tend to follow those who are confident to those work. Okay, so are you talking about for a body paragraph or a thesis? So for like a thesis, you can generalize. Like I said, like don't be super black and white, but you actually can do that. But for a body paragraph, I would say you could say that in a body paragraph, but it can't be like, you have to have evidence of it, you know? Like you can't just throw out a generalization without backing it up. So if you could say like, people tend to follow those who are confident, and then you told this story about how you weren't really confident and then you found confidence and then someone followed you. I don't know, I'm just thinking off the top of my head. Or like you came up with this historical example of how all these people followed, this is kind of dark, all these people followed Hitler because he was just so like self-confident and like kind of pompous in himself. Like that's how he was able to get so many followers. So if you like did the generalization and then followed it out, and I liked how you put people tend to follow those who are confident, not people follow those who are confident, because like you can't do everyone, but like generalizations with the word like usually or mostly or tend to, those would work as long as you followed up with like some kind of evidence or something. So yeah, that was a good question. How do you gain the knowledge to make so many examples? Can you do multiple historical or literature examples? Okay, so this is actually something I'm going to address in another lesson, but so you can do multiple historical or literature examples. It's just not a good idea to do like all three of one. So you could do like 2 history or 1 literary or something like that. But if you're taking AP Lang this year, most people take AP World History or any kind of history, even if you take US history. So that'll be super helpful. Taking history and Lang at the same time, because you're like, oh, I just learned about in history how this happened, and that can help you think of historical examples. But for literary examples, and I have this whole PowerPoint on this, but what I like to do is I researched a bunch of classic books, which is you have to include, you can't like reference Harry Potter or Dr. Seuss or something in AP Lang essay, but I like to read one of those a month and then see if I can tie them in. So like in AP Lang, I read 1 classic a month. So I read like To Kill a Mockingbird, The Catcher in the Rye, Fahrenheit 451, just a bunch of different ones. And then like eventually when you get to the end of the year and you're ready to take your AP test, or even after the first book, like I read To Kill a Mockingbird, and my creative mind, I was able to tie in like every essay. I was like, every single argument essay I wrote, I was like, and To Kill a Mockingbird, blah, 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 blah. So, that is how you gain the knowledge to do that. But let's see, what else was I going to talk about? Okay, yeah, so that's something I also strongly recommend, is just this. I kind of went off topic. Oh, where's mine? Okay, this is just for argument essays, and I was supposed to do generally outlining, but yeah, just reading as many classic books as you can that you can reference, and like taking a history class. I don't really know. I mean, at least at my school, if you're taking AP Lang, you're also either taking AP World or AP US history. I took it a year earlier, so I was taking AP World, which I think is super helpful. So if you can, even if you're not taking AP World, if you can brush up a little bit on AP World history, which is kind of sounds weird, like if you want to do AP Lang, study your history, but it does help in your argument essays. Anyway, so I'm just gonna kind of reiterate some of these. So I know they redid all the AP stuff, but when I was in it last year, the theme for it was like, don't read to know, read to weigh and consider or something. And so my teacher just kept bringing it up, like how you know if you've written a good essay is if someone can read that essay back and say, this author, not the author of the article, the author of the essay. So this student, I guess, this student clearly weighed and considered this topic and didn't just like spurt out an essay, which is really difficult because like you have to write all these essays really fast. So that's what you're doing. You are writing them fast and you are just trying to get them out. But you're trying to make like it look like you're not, which is kind of funny. But like this point is more important than this point. I don't remember. One second. I'm like trying to think about what I just said and how that relates to that. Oh yeah, okay. So like, okay, that's what I'm trying to. Okay, so like weighing and considering is like, I guess that could be one way you would do it, but it's just kind of showing that you really like thought deeply about it. I guess what weighing and considering really means to me, and I think a lot of other people, is that like you didn't just skim the surface of it. You weren't like say go back to the disobedience, like disobedience is bad, disobedience is good, or like disobedience can be good and bad. Like for your example, I could put disobedience has more good results than bad, although it still does have some drawbacks. So yeah, that would be a good example of weighing. Kind of like, I guess kind of like a scale, like you're just kind of weighing, see like good, bad, a little bit of both bad, both good. So yeah, that's a good way to look at it. I actually never thought about that before, but that is a good way to look at it. And I don't know who, Mint, I think. First of all, that's a cool name. If it's your name or if it's just your nickname, that's cool too. But I really appreciate you participating, because if not, I'm just going to be talking to myself, and so I really appreciate that. Anyway, so yeah, good point on that. And then also just another tip on like time saving, because that's honestly a like really key factor in IP Lang, is just time management. But also something that helps me is I write. So as you get into learning all the essay types, there's rhetorical, synthesis, and argument. I can never remember the last one. But as you get into those, you'll know which one's easiest for you and which one's hardest for you and which one's in the middle. For me personally, argument, I could do argument all day. Synthesis, that was fine. It was good, I guess. Rhetorical, that's where I really struggled though. And everybody's different. It's just, I don't know, the way my mind works, like, I don't know, I just find it easier to do argument than I did to find rhetorical. So you're going to want to write your best essay first. And a lot of people like kind of debate on this. They're like, well, write your worst essay first, so then you can just like get it over with and then focus on your good essay. But my reasoning behind doing your best essay first and how it saves you time is your best essay, you tend to write it faster and it's stronger and it's just a better essay, which means it'll be higher scoring. Because the more confident you feel in it, the better it's going to score. Like if you suck at writing, sorry, I don't know. Okay, if you like really feel not confident in your rhetorical analysis, but you really feel confident in your argument, chances are your argument's going to score higher. So you write that one first, and then you write your second best, and you write your third best. And the thing is, if you run out of time on your third one, it was probably going to be your lowest scoring anyway, so it doesn't matter. But if you start with your worst, and let's say you get I actually don't know how they're doing the grading this year. Let's say you get a lower score on that one, and you get an okay score. The one you would have gotten a great score on, you're not, because you don't have enough time to write it, and so you got a worse score. But anyway, that was kind of a random side note. But in the actual test, it's going to be good to write your strongest essay first, because it doesn't matter what order you do it in. You're given this chunk of time, and you just have to write 3 essays. It doesn't matter which one you do first, which is why I suggest doing your strongest one first. So, if we wanted to create another TOBY together, we would. I'm curious what you guys think about this prompt, because I kind of didn't know what to make of it, like disobedience one. So if we wanted to just come here and erase this, and you guys think of new theses, question mark, and like personal examples or historical examples or whatever, that would be great. But if not, I can just kind of walk you through another one. Also, I forgot to ask, what grade are you in? I keep saying you guys, but I think I'm mainly just talking to Mint. So that's cool. Mint and me are tight. 11th grade? That's cool. I'm in 11th grade too. Twinsies. Me too. I get lit and lang mixed up all the time. I'm taking lit this year, but I keep telling people I'm taking lang this year. And the only reason I took lit was so I could say it's gonna be lit and not even lang. So we love that for me. Anyway, so cool, you're 11th grade. We're twins. Also, Mint, is that your real name? Because if it is, that's like freaking sick. But anyway. No? Oh dang. Is it like your nickname? Yeah, that's cool though. I wish. I'm gonna name my child Mint. Just kidding. I wouldn't do that to them. Anyway, okay. Gotcha. Okay. So why is this being so dumb? We're struggling. Okay, I'm just gonna delete that. Okay, so for my thesis, so like disobedience one. Let's say I didn't want to do it new ones. Let's say I just wanted to go. Let's say I felt really strongly that disobedience was just always bad and nothing ever came of it. That's okay as long as you're really strong in it and you have evidence to back it up. So let's say I would come to my thesis, and let's time this one. So we're starting it. Okay, I'll start right now. Okay, so if you guys have any ideas for a thesis, go ahead and comment them. But if not, I can just go ahead. So let's say disobedience has only, I spelled that wrong, has only ever led to destruction and despair. That was really depressing and probably overdramatic. Well, let's say that's kind of person I am, and I'm really gonna say. Okay, so for outline, I could do like disobedience. Let's like Hitler. I always go back to Hitler. Actually, this is so funny. We were talking in AP Lang class, and they're like, AP Lang readers are probably so tired of reading about Hitler because it's just the most obvious example when you're doing either argument or like synthesis. It's like, what's a good example of this? Oh, Hitler. Oh, the Holocaust. Oh, like it's so kind of depressing, but like people use that in essays so often. But let's say like Hitler disobeyed. Well, that is not how you spell disobeyed. Is it? Yeah, it is. Disobeyed societal standards the time and was able to brainwash people, leading to the biggest case of genocide in the world. Okay, now that we got our depressing example out of the way, let's think of if you don't respect the hierarchy, there's no, yeah, okay, so yeah, that's a good example. So if you don't respect the, yeah, okay, hierarchy, confused. That's actually, I am so impressed that you can just quote that because I learned about Confucius last year and I don't know, he said a lot of things and I don't remember any of them, to be honest. Hierarchy, sorry, I'm like bad at typing. Need to work on that. There's no order and social coherence. I almost said hashtag instead of slash. Nothing gets done. Okay, so that's a good historical. That can be like historical because Confucius. Let's see if I can spell it right. Is that how you spell it? No. Let's see how you spell it. Save me. Spell check. Okay. So then I could do like, I could do another, oh that, I did two. Okay, so now that we did two historical, you have to think of something besides historical. So let's think like, so I know this is kind of weird. In Fahrenheit 451, you can kind of do it both ways. Like he would have never learned the beauty of books. But also the book doesn't end the greatest as it ends like they're starting like a war. So I could put 4, 5, 1. And then I could put Star Wars. And then yeah, Lord of the Flies doing what, yeah, okay. That's a good example. I've never actually read that book, but I'm sure it's good. See, and that is actually a perfect example, like what you wrote right there. Like, honestly, I've never read Lord of the Flies, and like that doesn't really make sense to me, but you rewrote that. It's less than a sentence, and it will give you direction that makes sense to you. So, like, that would take me 2 seconds to write, and it makes sense to you. So that's another tip, is don't worry, like, no one's looking at your outline. So don't think about, you have to write complete sentences and do all this stuff. Like, if you have a keyword, like, if I was writing this and for some reason yellow reminded me of the Holocaust, or like green reminded me of Confucius, I would put green, like, as one of my bullet points, and I just write it. Like, no one's looking at your outline, so you don't need to worry about it. So big idea. The kids all do what they want in the book, and the whole place, it's literally self-love. It's not a good book because I've heard a lot about it, but I've never read it. I should probably read it. Maybe for AP Lit, I'll read it because I have to do a book project. Let me know if it's a good one, because I don't want to read it if it's not. Anyway, it's okay. Gotcha. That's what most classics are, I feel like. But To Kill a Mockingbird was really good, at least for me. Anyway, so big idea. Let's see. How it applies today. So I already used kind of like the Black Lives Matter protests, and so like what's some disobedience has led to a lot of despair and destruction. I guess you could talk about pretty much any modern day war. So like, you could, oh yeah, that's a good one. So we could put like another, okay, this is kind of, I'm like in a dark mood today, guys. Probably why I'm wearing like all black. But so like in North Korea, how people like, you know, Kim Jong-un, the whole thing. I actually watched this really interesting documentary, which is another thing I recommend for AP Lang. Watch documentaries, because then you have more fuel for your argument essays. But I'm kind of a nerd, so anyway, like they all have to obey him, and the consequence if they don't, like, is kind of not worth the risk. So like people lose like their lives trying to be disobedient, and all it causes is them to lose their life. But you also could argue the other side and say, like, if you don't disobey, then it's going to be this way forever. But anyway, I can just put like, I would just, if I was writing this, I'd just put, whoa, what just happened? My computer's frozen again. Sorry guys, you're just gonna have to wait a hot sec. There we go. Problems in North Korea. And I would just write that, and that would be my thing. And that took us, sorry, I have to do some math in my head. That took us like 5 minutes. So, and that actually took us 6. Sorry, guys. But that was also me like talking a lot and giving tips and stuff like that. So honestly, it would probably take half the time, so 3 minutes. And if 3 minutes is going to save you like 10, so pretty much my theory, this is my theory, is that an outline will save you about 10 minutes. So if this took 3 minutes and saving you 10 minutes, you're saving 7 minutes. It's just my little equation I came up with when calculating some of this. But anyway, we can do this with one more, and then I think we'll be good to go. So let's just drag this down here. Okay. So this prompt is, television has been influential in the United States since the 1960s, but just what has the influence had, and how does it affect who is elected? Has it made elections fair and more accessible, or has it moved candidates from pursuing issues to pursuing images, which I think is like, whoa, man, that's deep. But I kind of wish I got that on the AP exam. That would be a cool prompt. So this is a synthesis essay, but for this, since I don't have the sources pulled up, I'm just going to treat it like an argument essay because it could do that. Okay, so for my thesis, I would put, I don't know what you guys think, and if you guys have a good idea for a thesis, go ahead and comment it, and I will definitely put it in there, but until someone does, for my thesis, I'd probably put something like, television does give more people more access, which helps the democracy ideals, but it does have the potential to corrupt government officials. And the reason I say that is because, like, they only care about, like, all that matters is their image and not what they actually do, which is, anyway. I have to go spell check all of these because I can't type. Yes, that's a good one. Television can often simplify things down and it's subject to abuse. Like, yeah, that's a good one. Actually, I'm just going to copy and paste that if you don't mind. Okay, well, that bugs me that it's a different, I gotta change that. Oh. Okay. Okay, outline. So what are some evidence of this? So let's see. Can often simplify things down and is subject to abuse by commenters. So we could kind of go like the whole route with like cyber, like people feel safer. Oh, do you need to mention your body paragraph subjects in your thesis? Okay. Meteor plays only play. Okay, yeah, both. Okay. All addresses both. Okay. So do you need to mention body paragraph subjects in your thesis? You can, but you don't have to. Oh, in your thesis. Okay, in your thesis you don't at all. In your introduction though, so keep in mind this thesis is not my introduction. This is just one sentence of my introduction. In your introduction, what you're going to want to do is something called the soapstone, which I'm going to go over another lesson. I don't know if you're. This is actually really popular among language arts teachers, but it stands for like, I'm going to butcher this, but it's like speaker, purpose, audience. So pretty much you're just introduction, yeah, put that together. You're just kind of giving a background. So I would say something like, although, like I'd say something like television and technology are improving more and more every day. In this article, blank and blank talked about how television can potentially harm blank and blank or something like that. So I just kind of introduce it, and you can put your 3 main ideas, but you don't have to, is the thing, which is unlike most language classes where they're like introduction, restate your points, conclusion, restate your points. I feel like in previous language arts classes I've taken, it's just been a lot of restating. But in AP Lang, you're really just trying to like dive really deep in. Anyway, okay, so yeah, media plays only. Okay, I'm just gonna copy and paste yours because hashtag I can't type or spell. I don't know why I just said hashtag and now I feel like a loser, but it's fine. Okay. Let me change this. Sorry, that just bugged me. I'm like super weird. Okay. Lots of people get their news from late night talk shows. Yes, that is true. And they usually have political bias. Yes, that is really true. And another thing I might bring up in the big idea is confirmation bias, which is where like people like read things and only agree with what they believe in, which is something I'm definitely guilty of. Like I'll find something on the internet that like is probably not true, but it supports my beliefs, so I'm like, this has to be true. But then I'll find something that is probably true, but it doesn't support my beliefs, and I'm just like, that is fake news, but it's probably not. Okay, they usually have political bias. See, that's a good one. And then also, another tip is like, if you're outlining and you have more than 3 and you're not really sure which ones you want to do yet, write, like, just like you're doing, just like write all of them down, write all your ideas down as soon as they come. And then, so let's say this outline had 6 in there, then you can just start the top 3 you end up deciding you want to do. That is bugging me. I gotta fix that. Okay, I'll do that later. Okay. And then Lincoln Douglas debates in the past focused on values and were reported in the news wholesale, so people had to read all of them. Yes. Good thinking. Actually, I figure so, and I can't even think of the word, which is making me sound really dumb, but like introspective, I guess. Like you're able to come up with these facts. Like I'm kind of impressed. You're gonna kill AP Lang test. Okay, anyway. Yeah, as you can probably tell with my typing so far in this presentation, I tend to type slow and misspell things, so at least in AP Lang you don't have to type. You just write a lot, which isn't that great for me either because I have sucky handwriting, but okay. So for my big idea, this is a little bit more, it can go either ways. It's either going to be harder to do a big idea or easier. It'd be harder because like everything's is a modern subject, so it's kind of like hard to like I don't know. But then it makes it easier because everything is modern anyway. So confusing. But big idea, I could put like you could like ask a question like how are elections? See, I can't spell. Elections going to be 20 years from now if technology keeps improving at this rate. And then you could go on to talk about like how much, like it's crazy to think about like how much elections have changed like even just in the past 10 years. And if it like keeps progressing like that, like what are elections going to be like in the future? Like it's crazy to think about. But so that can be a big idea, and you can kind of play around with that for a little bit. And I feel like the more thought-provoking is better. Okay, the issues isn't with the technology, but with the way people use it. Why shouldn't sacrificing political blame? Yes, that is like a great freaking like. You're gonna ace the AP test. I'm like 100% sure. Okay, let me read it really fast. Issue isn't with the technology, but with the way people use it. We shouldn't sacrifice political gain for informing the public about the whole picture. Yes, cool. I think that would be good to include in your big idea, maybe, because like as I said, big ideas about like pulling in modern examples. But since this whole thing is modern, I think that'd be good, like thought-provoking. Like, is it really the technology or is it just us, kind of thing? So that was really good. I liked it. I liked it a lot. So anyway, that was my little outlining lesson. I hope you found that helpful. If you have any questions, go ahead and speak now or forever hold your peace. And then once again, think Fiveable. They're on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And yeah, so that's pretty sick. And here's my little bibliography so I don't get sued. So anyway, I hope you guys found that helpful, and I will hopefully be back soon with another lesson. See ya. Oh, cancel. I just saw your question. That's so awkward. Okay. Is the big idea an open-ended sort of question or a series of open-ended statements when you write the full essay? So a big idea can be an open-ended question. So here's the answer. It's kind of like both. So you could write like what are elections going to be like in the future, and then like kind of talk about what's the word, reflective about like how it has changed up till now, or a series of open-ended statements when you write the full essay. I don't really know what that means. So like open-ended statements, you can do that too, like how I did with the first. Let me pull it up 1 second. Like kind of open-ended, like disobedience to the laws of society and morals, how that's happening in modern days. So kind of open like that. But glad you asked that, and I'm glad I thought before I finished signing off because that would be bad. All right, I'll wait like 2 seconds, see if any other questions come in. Yep, you're welcome. Anyway, okay, I think I'm good to sign off now, but I'll be back next week with another lesson, and I hope to see you guys there. Bye.